Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Third Coast Reptile right here on YouTube. Today we're going to dive into some of the more common illnesses associated with tortoises. I'm going to help you recognize what a sick tortoise may look like. I'm going to help you identify what that root cause just might be. And of course, I'm going to help you get your tortoise back on the road to recovery. This is one of those videos where you're going to want to take notes. Grab a pen and paper, watch it 2 to 3 times, save this video for future use. It's just going to have so many little nuances that are excellent information. Also, I learned something just the other day that I'm going to throw in towards the end of the video here. Let me just say it's going to save you a ton of money, and it could save your tortoise's life. Alright guys, I'm starting this video with a question, and that question is, have you been paying attention to the Third Coast Reptile YouTube community chat? If you haven't been, this is kind of what you've been missing. I'll catch you up to speed. So my big redfoot Benny, he's my big redfoot tortoise, he fell ill about a week ago. I noticed that he wasn't moving around a lot in his enclosure. He was kind of staying in the same spot all day long. His eyes were closed and extra watery. However, I did know that his nose and mouth were dry. So that kind of ruled out respiratory issues. And through some research and talking to some colleagues, I discovered that he had a vitamin A deficiency. So I created this video to kind of show you guys my progress and how I combated that vitamin A deficiency. Also, later on here, as you'll see in the videos, I was giving Benny a bath to keep him hydrated. And oftentimes, male redfoot tortoises, or any male tortoise for that matter, when you give them a bath, there is the possibility that they can get really excited in the water there. This is a kid-friendly video, so I'm trying to keep things PG here. His display came out, and it wouldn't go all the way back in. So when that happens, it's called a penile prolapse, and that is automatic, go to the vet. So I talked with the really good folks at the veterinary clinic, and they treated him for the issue. They kept him overnight. I also explained the vitamin A deficiency that I was experiencing, and they were going to do some blood work. Well, when I went to pick up Benny the next day, they were unsuccessful and able to get that blood work. So they were able to take care of the penile lapse issue, which is great. So I brought Benny home later on that night. I wanted to go ahead and do some updates in the redfoot enclosure. However, Benny was outside with the rest of the redfoot tortoises, and he looked great. I never saw his eyes look so good. He was tired, and I felt like he was still coming off of the gas that they had him on to do the procedure the night before. He seemed a little out of it, but his eyes looked good. He was alert. He was looking around. Actually, the best I had ever seen his eyes since I've had him. Benny always kind of had these swollen eyes, so I was ecstatic. I was really happy. The very next day, the very next day, he passed away. It was a shock to me, just because he had been making so much progress, and he was doing so great. He gave me hope that he was on the road to recovery and that he was doing better. But he ended up. I checked him out the next morning, and he had passed away in the enclosure, in the redfoot enclosure. So it doesn't matter how much experience you have. It doesn't matter how much you think you know. Tortoises just have things going on that you don't know. They're experts at hiding illness. They do, for survival. It's a survival method in the wild. They don't show that emotion. They certainly can't communicate with you. So they're really good at hiding illness. And unfortunately, Benny did pass away. I'm going to show you the video now of that progress from initial understanding of his illness to when he did pass away. I'm going to show you his grave site that I made for him. I thought it turned out pretty nice, his final enclosure, if you will. I'm making this video now because I can. Last weekend, I think it was, forget it. I couldn't. Friday, I think Friday into Saturday, there was no way I would be able to do this video. Certainly, putting myself on the road to recovery here after the loss of Benny. So I'll talk a little bit more about Benny at the end of the video here, but I just wanted to give you guys this quick kind of catch up of what happened with Benny, where he was. So without further ado, let's watch this video on Benny's, I guess, decline. Well, hey guys, here's a quick video. I wanted to show you what's going on with Benny here. He wasn't feeling good. His eyes were swollen, quite watery in fact, and I wanted to give you a heads up of what's going on. So he has vitamin A deficiency. So I'm going to give you a picture here. The guys are chowing down on Missouri diet. It's Missouri M151. Benny's over here chowing down. He's doing extremely well. What I've done for him is this. So you see they're all chewing this Missouri diet down. Well, if you look, this is carrot juice right here. So what I've done is I've taken the Missouri diet, instead of soaking it in water to soften it up, I literally softened it up here in the carrot juice so it soaks up that carrot juice, and then I've been feeding them to them. So my thought here is if one tortoise has vitamin A deficiency, the chances are they all probably. Alright guys, it's 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm picking up Benny from the veterinary exotic hospital out here in Byron Center, Michigan. Alright guys, so Benny is back with me here. Let me flip the camera around so you can see him. There's Benny after his wild night of excitement here at the vet's office. Again, shout out to them for helping me out here. Get my finger out of the way of the camera, sorry. I'm using my phone. I'm not used to using my phone for this stuff, but anyway, Benny's with me now. You can hear I got the heat on in the car. We're gonna get him home, and he's allowed to hang out with everybody in the enclosure. They did mention that his breathing is normal and with normal effort, so no respiratory for certain. Alright guys, I'm going to give you an update here. This morning, as you saw in the previous clip, Benny was at the veterinary hospital, and he's kind of been in a fog lately here. I'm going to switch the camera around here. There's Benny hanging out. He's been out of it all day. I think it might be from the gas they gave him last night to knock him out. But the good news here, hold on. People driving down the road. The good news here though is his eyes. His eyes are nice and clear. They're not swollen anymore. He doesn't have watery eyes anymore. So he's actually doing really well. All right, so as you can see, that was kind of just a crazy situation. I can't believe he's gone, but moving on. Like I said in the beginning of the video, we have a lot to cover. We have a lot to go over. This is an important video. Having said that, I do want to open this door for you guys. If you have tips and tricks that I don't mention here in this video, you have ways to handle illnesses that I don't mention here in this video, if there's a common illness that I didn't mention in this video, all of the above, I encourage you guys to utilize this channel, this community board, this video comment section to convey your tips and tricks, how you keep your tortoise happy and healthy, because everybody needs to use this channel right here as a resource. Excuse me, as a resource to ensure a tortoise's happy and healthy life. That's why I do this channel in the first place. So yeah, I'm not an expert. I don't have answers for everything, but you guys together with me as a community just might. So go ahead, feel free, go ahead, comment. Hey, this worked for me, it worked great. Hey, this is what I changed in my substrate, my enclosure area, my lighting distances, types of lighting, brands, whatever the case may be. Throw that information in the community or the comment section below. It's great. That helps me, helps you guys, helps everybody. So let's move into the video right now. So the first one we're going to deal with here is shell rot. Shell rot typically occurs when tortoises are exposed to dirty water or moldy substrate. Now, tortoises typically start showing signs of shell rot on their carapace, that's the bottom side of their shell, or if they've been in a battle or have an old wound, it may show up on their scutes as well. Now, shell rot is completely preventable. It's something that is easily curable as well. So if you catch it quick enough, yeah, it's not that big a deal. Excuse me here. So to take care of shell rot, you want to go ahead and give your tortoise a nice dry area under a heat lamp for a few hours a day for about 3 to 4 weeks. On top of that, you can also provide a topical treatment that you can apply to those areas that's safe for tortoises. Obviously, you want to read labels, make sure it's not toxic. That's meant for shell rot itself. And I'll provide something for you here as well. Now, for preventing that shell rot from ever occurring, obviously we talked about dirty water and moldy substrate. So frequent water changes. It's not uncommon to have fecal matter in that water because tortoises defecate in water when they're drinking. It helps relieve some of that pressure. Tortoises, fun fact, don't have diaphragms, so they utilize that water to kind of soften up things and get that stuff going. That's enough talk about poop. So you got to change that water often, keep an eye on it. That's something that I'm working on, creating some sort of automated drain fill system. I think that's one of the things that's going to be coming to the channel here in the future. So it's easier for me to maintain and manage all of the water sources throughout my lizard den here and the reptile room itself. So clean that water. That's number one. And number two here is substrate. Now, this is one of the main reasons why I really don't like using mulch in enclosures. I started to, and I have learned over time that they definitely can get moldy. The other thing that I'm worrying about here in the future is my actual enclosures, not these ones here, but the ones in the reptile room, because they're predominantly made of wood. And wood with high humidity environments creates mold naturally. So that is something I'm going to work on, coating that wood here in the future as well. These are things, as I've learned, you'll find out that I am actually going to be improving in my reptile room as well. So don't feel like, oh crap, I'm not doing this right, I'm not a great tortoise owner, what am I doing? I'm in the same boat you are, and I'm learning about this with you. So these are things that I'm planning on working on here, and I'll be showing you videos of how I create the automated water system, how I create those coatings for the wood, and what I do to maybe apply like a PVC panel over that wood so it protects it from mold, and maybe paint it too. I'm not sure. but that's why we're going to do research and figure that out. So substrate that you should be using are things like peat moss, dirt, sand, maybe a mixture of those. I tend to have rocks and slate in those areas so that way they can still clean those nails. And as far as holding humidity, that's what that peat moss sort of does in lieu of that mulch. Now, if you are dead set on putting wood in your substrate, cedar chips are pretty good for that. You want to make sure that that's safe for your reptile because I think like, what was it? The frilled dragon actually can get sick from that cedar. So I think it's something to do with the pheromone in the cedar. I'm not sure. But anyway, do your research before you introduce a new element in your reptile enclosure, but understand that wood plus humidity equals mold. So you want to make sure you stir up that substrate often to make sure there's no underlying mold, because if your tortoise is a burrower, it may not show on top, but it might be underneath. So I think we've knocked the shell rot topic out of the park here. So we're going to move on to the big one, metabolic bone disease. Okay, so MBD, or metabolic bone disease, occurs when your tortoise is lacking two major things, and they can't do without one or the other. So MBD is when the calcium has, or the bones rather, have a calcium deficiency. And when that deficiency occurs, those bone structures get soft. So let's take a tortoise, right, for example, and the shell is its big bone structure, part of its backbone that the tortoises depend on to protect its inside organs. And in fact, on a tortoise, the top organs that are right inside that shell are its lungs. So if that shell gets soft and that shell starts to cave in like this, that restricts that tortoise's ability to breathe as well as it would have before. It gets shorter breaths because of that. Also, mobility might be an issue later on as well. So metabolic bone disease is fixable, although the effects of the metabolic bone disease are really hard to reverse. Tortoises, it's more forgiving because they have a long lifespan to kind of reverse those effects. And slowly over time, it does help them generate strength in their bones again. With like bearded dragons behind me here, though, because they grow so fast in their first couple of years, if there's bone disease, if that metabolic bone disease occurs, it could be life-threatening and cripple them for life instantly, just like that. So the first one is UVB, and that's ultraviolet light. That's a source in your reptile enclosures. In fact, I have them here in my lizard den as well because they also could suffer from MBD. We talked about UV light. There's the other factor here, which is calcium. Calcium is provided to your tortoise through a powder or a liquid. You can also give them a natural calcium, such as mustard greens or collard greens, although I would give that to them in moderation, kind of mix that in with their daily diets to kind of help that calcium level stay sufficient. In addition to that, you can also supplement your UVB lighting by taking them outside a few hours a day. The sun, again, is a natural UVB light that they would get in nature, and also provides them UVA, which would make them happy. I can do a whole video just on lighting alone. So now that we know what the cause might be, you can notice it when you pick up your tortoise and the sides of the scutes and maybe even the top of that shell are starting to get soft and pliable. Now, when you have a hatchling, that's different because a hatchling is still developing. Excuse me. the carapace will predominantly be soft even up to a year. So don't worry about the underside if it's just a newborn captive bred tortoise. That's okay. When you want to worry about it is when their scutes are actually soft. It's very important to catch it early on. You want to, when you're doing your weigh-ins and you're checking your tortoises, you want to make sure that that shell is nice and firm and that your tortoise is nice and happy and healthy. Um, if you do notice that your tortoise is experiencing metabolic bone disease, there are ways to take care of that. One of which is to simply start reintroducing calcium into their diet, or figure out if that UVB bulb is no longer producing UV light. So you want to make sure that that bulb is actually efficient and working. And you want to make sure that you're providing them with enough calcium. Now, over time, that metabolic bone disease will sustain. That shell will become hard again. However, that deformity will still be there. Um, it's not like pyramiding where it's kind of reversible over time. It'll kind of grow out of that pyramiding. Whereas metabolic bone disease, once it happens, it's sort of there to stay. You are paying attention to that shell, make sure it stays nice and firm, make sure that you are providing them a balanced diet, one that has calcium rich ingredients, or you're providing that powder or liquid. All right, guys, we're going to talk about something a little bit more dangerous. That is respiratory infections, the RI. Now, the reason why this one is so deadly is because of two things. One, it's hard to detect early on, and two, it's fast. It can kill your tortoise literally overnight. This can occur when your tortoise is exposed to cold, damp temperatures for too long periods of time. Also, this can occur when your tortoise has some sort of blockage in their nose. It becomes infected, and that infection then moves into the lungs, causing pneumonia. If you notice that your tortoise is kind of lethargic, his eyes are watery, his nose is watery, causing bubbles to occur, and you notice that it's breathing more heavily than normal, those are early signs that your tortoise may have a respiratory issue. Now, to say respiratory infection, that's the latter. That's when you notice your tortoise is like stretching its neck way out, trying to relieve that mucus from its nose, and it has a really super hard time breathing. It's it's very lethargic. It's not moving around. Those are the major things. At that point, it's almost too late to do anything. To cure a respiratory infection is nothing short of going to the veterinarian and asking for help. That is your best option. They can provide antibiotics. They can keep them on a respirator, a breathing tube. Those are just things that I'm personally not capable of, and I don't expect you to be capable of either. So the next best option is to take it to the vet. The two ways you can prevent your tortoise from getting a respiratory infection is you want to make sure that your tortoise's microclimate is high and dry. You want to make sure that you keep an eye on their nose, make sure they're breathing normal. Oftentimes with adults, you can go ahead and stick your hand right in front of their nose and you actually feel that breathing, and that breathing pattern is normal. Be careful not to get bitten, though. They might think, you got a little worm finger here. But respiratory infections are serious, guys. You want to make sure that you kind of do weekly checkups and monitor those, all of those things, whether it's metabolic bone disease, shell rot, or in this case, a respiratory infection. So how do you keep track of all that? How do you monitor the last time you checked him, how many days it's been, his weight, all of these sort of nuances? Well, I have a solution for you. I want you to check out this quick little video that I made about a company called Husbandry Pro. Hey guys, Third Coast Reptile here, and I want to talk to you about this exciting new app I've discovered called Husbandry Pro. You simply use a phone or a tablet, like the one shown here, and you print out these QR codes, and you simply scan the QR code, and then it will tell you the history of that animal, the last time it ate, how much it weighed, and then things like when the next water change is due. This is a valuable tool, especially when you want to organize and keep track of multiple reptiles, or if you have multiple people taking care of your room at once and you want to ensure every reptile is getting the best care possible. This is the app for you. Now, think about this. If you have a sick reptile and you want to know exactly what went wrong, this app can actually be given to the veterinarian and they can see the history themselves and determine quicker and faster what may be a root cause and why that animal's ill. Again, this is husbandrypro.com. You can even use it on your computer if you'd like with the point and click scanner as well. I made a video, which is what you're seeing here, of Husbandry Pro's products. You can go ahead and check that video out, and right now I'm going to go ahead and supply you with a custom Husbandry Pro link. If you use this link, that helps Third Coast Reptile take care of its animals and gets you direct access to the Husbandry Pro website. It's a great feature and it has many different price points depending on your needs. It has levels such as high as a breeder, a zookeeper, or just a small guy like myself that has 20 to 30 animals. There is even a free option. That's right, I said free option, where you can try it out to see if it works. There's no risks involved with the free option. Just try it out and see what you think. Again, use the link that I provide right here in the video and go check out Husbandry Pro. I think you'll like it. Alright guys, we're going to talk about impaction. Impaction occurs when tortoises consume something that they're incapable of digesting and passing through their body. It's a blockage in their large intestines. So usually this means that your tortoise has consumed some sort of substrate. Granular substrate like sand, dirt, peat moss is kind of near or on your food over time can cause this impaction. Also, when tortoises get curious and they smell something like liquid calcium on bark or wood chips can also create the same situation, or little rock pebbles as well. Now, early on symptoms are loss of appetite. They're kind of slow moving around because they can't eat anything. Ways to treat this is to put them in soaks and let them have the warm water opportunity to pass things. If things still don't progress, then it's time to take it to your veterinarian, and they may be able to do surgery and remove that blockage internally in your tortoise. Again, the sooner you discover these symptoms, the better, which is why I keep showing that commercial for Husbandry Pro, because the regularity and the systems that you put in place can very well save that tortoise's life. Speaking of which, I want to talk about this new thing that I just learned about that I mentioned here kind of at the very end of the intro that really is going to save you a ton of money and save your tortoise's life. It has a very good capability of saving your tortoise's life. And I learned about this just the other day, and that is pet insurance. Now, I know what you're saying, like, John, come on, really? You're going to say that? And it's just pet insurance? Well, we've become more popular as a reptile community now that there's actual reptile insurance. I've looked up a couple of companies, and the one that comes to mind that I really like, I am not affiliated with, is Nationwide Exotic Pet Insurance. They actually help you find a vet near you, and they can help you pay for the costs that are associated with the veterinary visits, so you can get preventative and you can get diagnostic visits covered under their plan. So by doing the preventative, you can understand some of those things early on before they get severe. Also, the diagnostic for obvious reasons. They can save your tortoise's life and save you a ton of money. So, given that, I'd like to say thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I know it was kind of a lot of information that I covered here. So go ahead and feel free to save this video. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And again, thank you guys. For those, I want to give a shout out here for those people that did reach out to me on the community board. Thank you so much for supporting me in my loss of Benny. I can't believe that he's gone, but it is what it is. That's part of the risk of owning an exotic animal like a tortoise, that you think you know a lot, but you don't know enough. And that's my takeaway. That's my reason for really driving this video. And again, like I mentioned in the beginning too, if you guys have things, I know I didn't mention or cover all, of the reptile diseases associated with tortoises. So if there's other common ones that you want to go over, let me know, put them in the comments below, and I may very well mention you in a new segment that I'm bringing on called Under the Shell, where I bring up a question from one of my subscribers and mention their name on the YouTube channel and answer their question. So if you have a question you want answered related to the tortoise hobby, hey, leave me a question in the comment section below here or on that Third Coast Reptile YouTube community board. Thanks for watching.